happy days. We will be going for today's RC Coffee Chat. I am hitting the start streaming button right now. It tells me that we are live. So a very good morning to you. My name's Matt and welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Now, those of you which are on the live version, if you could do me a little favour, just press the, just let me know in the chat if the audio is good. Right, let's get into today's topics for you. And it is going to be a bit of a biggie today because, number one, I'm running late. And number two, there is just so much which I want to get covered with you this morning. So a couple of things may get chopped at the end. So thank you, Brad, for letting me know the audio is good. I really appreciate that. Now, quick note. We are recording this live, so down the right-hand side of the screen, you will see there's a live chat there. If you're watching this live version, don't forget you can pass in any comments and have a chit-chat with other cool pilots on the right-hand side of the screen. A little note is that if you are using an iPad or a phone, look out for the little up arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. That then does lift up the chat, and then you can join in that way as well. Right, today's topics. Model Mondays. We're going to have a chit-chat about that. I'm assuming that you've already seen the first Model Monday. That seemed to go down quite well. We'll be having a chit-chat about that. We will be discussing the iPhone effect, aka whether Crossfire is working out for me or not, as we'll find out very shortly. Part 2 of the servo testing. Let's see if we can get some pixie smoke. Would you like ketchup with your birds or turds, sir? That's another topic this morning. Oh, new FPV gogglers for the girls. I got those next to me. We'll be having a chit chat about those. Bonsai Kits are back. We'll have a chat about the Matek F7 board, which you can't see but is up in the middle of my screen there right now. We'll also have a chat about an EF Extra, which is on sale. We will also be having a chit chat about the epic backlog of videos which I've got at the moment, which I'm in such, for me personally, and for you as well, I hasten to add, is that we do have an awful large backlog of videos at the moment. And I just seem to be adding more than what I'm publishing at the moment to build up a bit of a backlog. But don't panic, is that if you're interested in maybe part 2 or part 3 of the Model Monday series, for example, then these videos are already been uploaded and shared over in the Facebook's group. So we're going to be having a chit chat about that as well. And there's one or two other extra topics I might squeeze in at the end as well. So let me just keep an eye on the chat. The audio is good. Happy days. Oh, Phil, sorry to hear that. Hey ho. Right, let's move in. Model Mondays. So the first Model Monday which we've had, which has gone live, is on the mini drac. And the idea, the original idea of Model Monday was a 5-minute chat. But yeah, believe it or not, 5 minutes, whatever. A 5-minute chat on a model so that you could get to meet the model, you could see it flying, you could then know the positives, the negatives, and things like that around the model. Now, picking a mini drac as the first model was it was a no-brainer for that to be the first model. But I quickly worked out, or soon worked out, is that 5 minutes just isn't enough. If you want a full walk around a model. And the thing is that I'm specifically picking models which I've had for a period of time, which are worthy of being included in a Model Monday, is that I can't just cover it in 5 minutes. It would be unfair to you. It just wouldn't be right. And it is turning into 30-minute episodes, and you'll see that I have been, you can see on the video just up here, I've been cramming in some flight footage at the same time as well, trying to cut the video time down and trying to give as much value as possible. So they are turning out to be about 20 to 30-minute episodes. And I've gone back and I've watched them myself more than once, and I've been really impressed with them. I like the format. So Model Mondays will be around for quite a period of time. It's not like I don't have enough foam to cover Model Mondays. There's quite a broken pile there at the moment, but we have definitely got a load of models which we can cover for Model Mondays. Like I said, Model Monday episode number 1 came out this Monday. That was the mini drac. We have episodes 2 and 3 have already been uploaded. Part 4 is in the editing pile right now. So if you want to see parts 2 and 3, click show more underneath this video on YouTube, and there's links into parts 2 and 3, and you'll find out which models they are. One of the models is actually a little bit awkward now because it's quite hard to get hold of, but there are other options out there, and it is worthy of being included in a Model Monday because I've had it for a decent period of time and it flies so well. It is the biggest puppy which I own in the sky as well. So good morning everybody. So I've seen some chat which is going on down the side, and apologies I've missed it. As you know, I'm sat here trying to present at the same time. So yeah, Model Mondays, thumbs up for those. I sincerely hope like those. If you have any feedback or constructive feedback, good or bad, I'd love to hear from you. The best place to do that is on the bottom of the video. So there's a link to the first Model Monday episode in the video description. Go across there. Any feedback, good, bad or ugly, I would really appreciate. So again, to see if we can make these better as we go along. Right, topic number 2 is the iPhone effect. So some of you may not know this if you're new here. Recently, I bought the TBS Crossfire kit, the 2-watt transmitter, and the collection of different receivers, the little micro receivers, and the diversity receiver as well. It was quite a hefty investment, not only for money because the TX module was 200 quid because I bought the bigger one. If you buy the smaller one, it's only 100 quid. And then each of the receivers are, say, 40 quid, and the diversity one is 100 quid. So it wasn't a light investment into new kit. And also time as well. The time which it took me to put the diversity receiver into the mini Talon, for example, that actually ended up being about 3 hours in the end because I wanted to muck around with some of the looms too. And then also the clouds was at least 2 hours. Again, I had to alter some of the looms which I'd put into the wings as well and change the way things which should work. So it wasn't a very light decision, not only in actual monetary cost, also high in physical, like in time cost as well, to convert these models across. Because if you've got a vector in there, well, you then need to make up your own BST leads to get the telemetry back from the receiver into the vector, which may be the receivers, as you know, which we'll get to the FPV DIAMOND in a moment, may be out on the wings. So yeah. There's a chat about UHF. Again, there's a link to that episode in the video description. I'll probably include it at the end, along with the Model Monday episode at the very end of this RC Coffee Chat. But for those of you watching the recorded version. But I've got some good news. Is that on the weekend, we took it out for a flight almost in anger, in inverted commas. And I was genuinely really impressed. It was quite weird, actually. And when I say it's quite weird, is that up until now, in the goggles, as you're flying along with the Eagle Tree Vector, you can always keep an eye on the RSSI and its value. And the thing is that as you fly away from yourself, the RSSI drops. Like, I think at one point it was like 20, like that, and that would be like chucking off alarm bells in my head. Like, what? All right, turn around, we're coming back. I've gone too low over the hedge. And it was always a bit of a concern. However, the really curiosity thing is the link quality. I don't think it dropped from 100%. I think I may have seen it flicker once to 99 or something like that. The RSSI was always up and down like a yo-yo, but the link quality just stayed at 100%. And at the moment, there is a mod which you can put on your Tyrannus with this module. It will make the speaker like hum, if that makes sense. And there's a mod which you can do, just twist some wires in the back, which power the speaker. And I'm not going to do that. And the reason being I'm not going to do that is that I can hear when the module's switching up in the back on the speaker, and that's really curious. So that you know that if you've done something and you can hear it buzzing on the transmitter, and your link quality just stays at a rock solid 100%. So yeah, I'm very, very cautious of the iPhone effect. Like I've already mentioned, the monetary value I'm quite deep, and also time value I'm in as well. And also, let's be honest here, I've already sold my 433 kit to Martin, and we did swaps this. We'll find out about that later. I don't have anything to go back to. So I am a little bit very cautious on this one oh my God, I've spent a lot of money on it, but to say it's good. But the reality is that it's actually pretty good, and I've got to say this, I absolutely love the update and stuff on the back. I've been working on the little free wing here at the moment, which you'll find out later, to do with an F7 flight control board, and updating the receivers and stuff over the thing. It's just piss easy. There's no other words for it. Really nice. So, like I said, I'm very cautious of being very positive about Crossfire for obvious reasons, but the reality is that it's pretty good so far. So that was my notes on that one. Topic number 2 is, this one came out last night. Now, I was a little bit wary about launching this one last night, and it's always a tricky one for me on YouTube, is because if I produce a video every single night, or publish a video every single night on YouTube, it seems to adversely affect the number of views which the videos get over a week. So that's why I've built up a backlog is because I've not been publishing videos every single day, although I have videos there which I could publish every single day. Anyway, so I'll go there. I did publish this one last night, and let me get this up on the screen for you. There we go. That one there, the servo tester. Okay, so if you didn't know this, I'll give you a short version. The video's on the YouTube channel. It's really straightforward. All we've done is that I've been unscrewed and hot glued 5 servos to a couple of pieces of wood, and then we've got a multimeter, and then we find out how much current those servos will actually take. And to be honest, I was, on one hand, quite amazed by the amount of current which excuse me, the amount of current which servos can take. I think we topped out just under 4 amps, I think, at one point, which was absolutely crazy. However, on the flip side, with 4 servos, yes, they did peak at, say, 2.7 amps, but the thing is, the bit which you need to remember is that for us, 4 servos at full deflection and full lock, underneath like maximum load, and we were within the tolerances of a BEC, standard 3 amp BEC. Okay, the thing is that alarm bells now, and again, it is absolutely brilliant, and it's one of those episodes which I strongly suggest you go and take a watch, because it was eye-opening for me. It was one of those things which I had bugging in the back of my head, and I'm so glad I've done that episode. And the other thing which we learned in that episode together is that if you go to 5 servos or more, or you use 6 volts instead of 5 volts in your BEC, because you can get switching ones like that one, where you can just pull the little plug out and change it, that's where alarm bells need to be going off in the back of your head, because it is very easy for you to go beyond the standard 3 amps when you add a 5th servo, or you change to 6 volts as well. And I was thinking, I was using the example of the mini Talon, for example, and actually this caught me out the weekend, I'll get to that in a moment, is that you've got 2 aileron servos, you've got 2 VTEL servos, so elevator and rudder. Okay, so that's 4. So we're in safe things already. However, I've got pan, I've got tilt, and I've got visor. So what we're on 7 servos now. Now, using the XUAV clouds as that one, is that I'm also putting a visor in, the same for the mini Talon. So I'm going to be up at 8 servos. And granted, one of them is only a little one, just to do a visor to pull it down and stuff. But 8 servos is way over a 3 amp or even 4 amp BEC's capabilities. And the thing is that the other bit, which I didn't really make a point of, is that what about the flight controller? What about any other periphery items as well, which you've got going on in your model as well? Your receiver, it's all taking current and could potentially overload a standard BEC. So that was the nice eye-opener for me, is that I will be changing my XUAV clamps to put that, well, you can see up on my screen, I've got 20 amp switching BEC. I'll be putting that in the XUAV clouds, and then I know, even if I run it on 6 volts, even with 8 servos, I'm going to be well within the tolerances of 20 amp BEC to go in there, because at the moment I've only got a 5 amp. I've only got 5 amp, and that's the thing is, I'm sure it can cope with a few spikes. However, you can imagine that time when maybe the model goes into failsafe, for example, because it's gone off on an angle, we've lost connection. All 4 servos are going to be going nuts. You've also got the pan, tilt and visor all hitting. They'll all, again, assuming failsafe, they'll all come back to their home positions. There are instances where all 4 or all 8 servos will be working at exactly the same time. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go and change the back in there. Also, I need to look. I actually think with the mini Talon, I'm actually running 2 backs for 2 different things. So I'm actually going to put half loads. I'm going to put like the wing servos, sorry, the normal 4 servos and the flight controller through 1 back, and then I'll be using a separate back for the pan and tilt at the front. And again, this kind of my issue on the weekend was that flying around with the mini Talon, many of you know I've got pan and tilt on there, is that my pan servo stuck over to the right. So I actually flew home looking to the right. So we flew home using the instruments. And that's worthy of an episode by itself, just for a discussion of what to do when things go wrong. And anyway, coming back to my topic, is that actually that wasn't a brownout. That was Matt had put the battery in on top of the cable, and actually just a little bump in the flight, it detached the cable. So those are all getting hot glued up underneath. So that will never ever happen again. That in that instance, but simple things can have very detrimental effects to stuff which is in the sky. Now, by the way, apologies, I've not been looking at your chat at all. So let me just get back to this full screen so you can see the chat which has been going on. Let's have a quick look. Work on there. Siplet says, by the way, I was surprised how little current those took. No, I was surprised by how much current they really did take. I was shocked, genuinely surprised. Howdy, Derek, by the way. Okoy says, wondering if a capacitor could supplement a 3 amp back. Right, so what I would like to do, actually, Okoy, you've kind of nudged me into part 2, is that we are going to be doing a part 2, which I'm going to try and keep this more real life. So unfortunately, somebody mentioned, I've just read some of the comments from that episode yesterday, is that if you had an oscilloscope, you'd probably see the current going up, and it depends if you're using a switching back or a U-back or just a straightforward voltage regulator. Part 2, I'm going to go into some of these details in more detail, if that makes sense. So we're going to find out what the different types of voltage regulator are, why some of them are better than others, hint SBAC, and we are going to take, I'm going to take a couple of just ESCs out of the box, and then we're going to put them underneath a load to see how they cope. And then also, if I dare, I'll need to jerry rig something up. And then we'll also put the ESC underneath maximum load with a propeller on it. So it's feeding an actual motor, which is taking the ESC to its limit, which is potentially possible, more possible or plausible for some of us. And we'll do a part 2, and we'll go a little bit deeper, and we'll try a couple of different scenarios as well. So again, this time we've done in my head, we've done the theory in that episode in like part 1, which is 4 servos, how much current. We've done that in part 1. Part 2, I feel that we need some underlying theory on the backs and how they work. And number 2, we need to get more like real life. Okay, and when I say more real life, as in that we're still going to have 4 or 5 servos underneath maximum load, but instead of using a 20 amp back, is that we're going to be using a 3 amp back and see if it cooks itself. And personally, I'm going to be rooting for Magic Pixie Smoke. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, yes. What's this? Yes, the trees are trembling, so are the birds. You can see the chat going above my head. So, yeah, look out for part 2. I've not started it. I kind of know what I want to include in there. I do need to go and polish up on a few bits myself so that I can, let's just put it into Matt speak for some of the little technical bits. But there is a difference between BECs, which you can get in models, or voltage regulators and things like that, and we'll be discussing those, and then we'll also be discussing about a capacitor and things like that, which, because potentially a capacitor can give you an extra bit of juice, but I don't know if you can see on that video is that BEC does already have a great big capacitor sat on there. The thing that Koi, I'm guessing where that suggestion is coming from is, say, flight controller boards or PDBs, which have, in some ways, perfectly adequate. Excuse me. Pause for a moment for a cuppa. May have perfectly adequate. That's still stupid hot from first thing this morning. Coming back to my point. They may have perfectly adequate circuits, but because of the size of the board or size constraints, they include a larger capacitor for you to solder on at your own discretion, because it would fit in your environment. And of course, it might look a bit unprofessional if they've got this bloody great big capacitor hanging out the side of the PDB. And the capacitor is just basically a short-term battery. It just builds up a pool of voltage and or capacity, so that if you do have like a high load environment, that it can even that out. It smooths that kind of event, but it's not a bottomless pit to the circuit. So yeah, we'll have a chit chat about those in part 2 whenever I get around to it. And again, of course, that would be published first in the Facebook's group. Right, I think it's time that we move to Shout Out Corner. So this is the time of the day where I get to say a very good morning to you. So this is for those of you which are on the live version. So good morning, Vince. I'm going to do this backwards this morning. Good morning, Vince. Good morning, Zenith. Good morning, Laurie. Good morning, Henry. Good morning, Sipler. Good morning, Floyd. Good morning, Sir Derek. Good morning, Sean. FPV, good morning. Can, good morning. Akoi, good morning. Just have chat. Sipler, good morning as well. Nabil, good morning. Dave, good morning. Tribe Quad Quest, good morning too. Morning View, good morning. Brad, good morning. Austin, good morning. Just scrolling up. Julian, good morning. I missed your chat in there earlier. Phil, good morning. Hope everything's going okay at your side. Henry, good morning. And Les, good morning. Scrolling back up. Roddy, good morning. I saw you come in first thing this morning. So if I have missed your name, I do apologise. I've just not seen it in the list. So don't take it personally. I've just scrolled up and taken a quick look. Right. Let's move on to the next topic, which is going after the title. Actually, before we get there, I want to just quickly revisit. This episode. So many of you may have seen this come out on, I think it was Sunday night, the FPV DIAMOND, the discussion about that, the separation of components. And there was some very, very good comments and some constructive feedback provided in the comment section of that video. And I just want to say big thanks to everybody who did that. And I really enjoyed going through and not only reading, but also replying to everybody who left a comment on that video, because there were instances where somebody had mentioned that their mate had flown several kilometers away, not had a single issue, and everything was just chucked in the middle of their C1 chaser. We had examples of quads as well, not really being an issue. And that's the thing, is that the point of the video is that the point of the video is that I've seen models and setups and I've just like scratched my head like, why would you do that? You've just put it there because it looks like there's a hole there which would fit it. And I'm sure it would be perfectly fine, you know? But the thing is that you have the opportunity, especially with it, I'm not saying you should retrofit your previous builds, but on a new build, you have the opportunity to separate your components very well. And it just makes good sense. I think that was my point which I was trying to get across. Common sense kind of kicks in. You don't stick your receiver on top of your motor and your ESC because they're really noisy, and also they create loads of heat as well. So you keep it away from that. You create your really noisy FPV transmitter well away from everything else. Typically stick it out on the wing. Well, if you've got one thing out of one wing, you might as well just counterbalance it on the other wing with the receiver. Hence, we're using the mini Talon there because that balances them out. Okay, and the same as the GPS. The GPS needs to be well away from everything else which is going on, because it might have, if you're using it in a quad, again, that's why you always get the stands with them, so you get it up into free air. Also, if you're using the compass in it, you need it away from other noisy things. So compass in that instance at the front of the model, and then the motor and the ESC they always kind of go together, but try and keep stuff away from it. And again, I also included the flying wing example as well. Get the receiver, video transmitter, especially on a smaller airframe, get those out on the sides. And that's the thing. You're looking at a new build. Why not do it the sensible way? Why not apply some common sense? Get these parts away from them, rather than just lifting up the lid, jamming it in already hard and thinking, fuck it, it'll be fine. That was my point, which I was trying to make. Maybe not as brutal as what I've just said there, but you kind of get the idea, okay? And the thing is, it will still fly. I've got the mini Talon, and I just jammed everything in the middle. It will still fly. Will it be noisy? Will it fly as far as it potentially could do? Will it be reliable? Probably not, is the answer to that. It will definitely fly, and you'll still get all the bits out of it, but reliability, stability, and longevity might not be right up there, if you see what I'm saying. So that was the kind of point I was trying to make in the FPV Diamond. Right, let's move on to Bird and Turd, and would you like some ketchup with that, sir? Now, what am I talking about? Is that in the last day, 2 days, maybe 3 days, is Banggood have come out with some absolute turds. And the first turd we have here is a model which is, and again, these are just going to be so funny when they turn up. This is why we call them birds or turds, because we might even be amazed they might be a complete bird. We just don't know. I've ordered one, and you've got to admit, it's quite peculiar. I don't know what they're going to be going on with the mixing on this one. Andy spotted that you've got ailerons but no elevator, and you've got a rudder. It's definitely a turd. I've bought one for a laugh. I just don't know what's going to go on. It even comes with a little transmitter. So for a laugh, for $22.99, I've been and bought one. I can't say much more, to be honest. I just don't know what to make of it. I just really don't. So I've got one on the way. We'll find out how much of a bird or turd it is when it turns up. Do you know what, right? I am honestly rooting to be amazed. Okay, I want it to be a bird. As much as it looks like a turd, I want it to be a bird. Alright, so we've got that one. We've also got this thing as well. Now, my head's in the way. Let's go and turn off the camera. There we go. We've also got this thing as well. So this one was, actually it came out $17, $16 when it first came out. It's gone up $2 since. Anyway, this little thing. Now, I know it's, when I first bought it, I thought they got the pricing wrong on it, so I just bought it for shits and giggles. But, sorry, poops and puddles, need to watch the language, family friendly and all that. I bought it for a laugh because, again, it's got 2 motors in it, and it's got the little joystick, which comes with it as well. And I bought it for a laugh, again. But then I was thinking, you can get those little micro quads for $10, so maybe we're getting done by it being foam board, maybe because it's a bigger pack. So we're having to pay more compared to somebody who was looking for a little toy multi-rotor. But anyway, I've been and bought it. It has, it's made out of foam board, flying time 5 to 6 meters with a range of 30 meters. It's a 3D stunt with 360 degrees, throw flying, outdoor wind resisted flying. And there, look at that. There's always someone which takes it down a level. Landing resisted as well. So yeah, it comes with a remote controller, USB cable, 2 rotors, and a user manual. I think we might be good here. Personally rooting bird or turd. Again, some of you are going to be going, Matt, that's a turd. But personally, I'm rooting for it to be a bird. I'm quietly here in the background going, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. And it's going to be funny. And it's going to be highly inappropriate to do certain things to it as well. And can it be modified? That's the other thing which I'm thinking. How much can we mod it? So yeah, that's the bird or turds. Whether they come with Ketchup, nobody knows just yet, but they have been bought. They are on the way to me. We'll find out about them within the next week or so, something like that. Yeah, Bradley, one of us got Red Bull on there. Yeah, and it's a biplane as well, Zenith. Whatever. So that is the bird in turns. We've got a Red Bull ripoff. It's made out of EPP as well. I couldn't believe it when I was reading the details. It's EPP. So, whatever. And then we've bought a bit of foam board as well for poops and puddles. Can't wait. Genuinely cannot wait till those turn up. It's just going to be whatever. On to a serious point. We do also, or I also have this. It's the Skyhawk. It's like a mini micro Sky Hunter, if that makes sense, but this time with an A-tail, 2 motors on the front. I've got one of those on back order. I know Martin originally bought one of these from, I want to say fpvmodel.com, but it might have been a different site. I think he bought one of these before, and it didn't come with the motor pods on the wings. It just had the motor mount on the back. So it is, again, my head's in the way. Let me go and turn me off a second. There we go. So it is a bit of an oddity. We'll see what it's like. I've bought it, and again, I'm not that personally inspired by it. All right, so I need to give you like a heads up for the review on it. I'm not that impressed by it already, although I do like the idea of it being black EPP. So the reason being is because I've already got a Sky Hunter here, and I've still not got around to building it. But we'll see what it's like. I've bought it with the sole purpose of getting it in for a review to see what it's like. And I'm sure it'll be quite a critical review. So put it this way, it better fly damn well good. Otherwise, Matty's not going to be that impressed. But anyway, it's on pre-order. It's black EPP. I do like that. You got to sing its praises. Black EPP. It's good. Twin motors. Those of you which have not flown a twin motor model before, they do sound absolutely fantastic, to say the least. So, yeah, looking forward to that one. Again, pre-ordered, not been shipped yet. The other one is still not been shipped yet. That's the, what's it, King.Kong LD Arc wing. That is the Blade Theory example, which far as I can tell, is very, very similar in pretty much every way, except for one or two very small ways, to the Blade Theory. But instead of having a price tag of $250 with everything in it, this was a price tag of $60, and you add your own components. So I kind of like, as many of you know, I much prefer kits compared to plug and play models. Right, let's get on to, we've only got a couple of topics to cover, and apologies, I've kind of missed your chat as we've been going along. Needs a rocket motor in its rear. FPV Quad Jockey, you may have noticed, or may have seen one of the episodes which we've got coming out shortly, because we do have a model here which can take a rocket up its rear end. Right, where's this? I've missed it. There we go. Need to get the right tab. So we're having a Banggood moment. The reason we're having a Banggood moment is because I've been and bought my daughter. I mentioned this week, last week, maybe even the week before that I'd bought them. Then last week we were waiting for them to come, and this week they've been and turned up. They literally turned up yesterday. Let's get this on the full screen. There we go. So these have been turned up for the daughters this morning. Yesterday, and we've already done a little mini review over the desk. She was quite cute, to say the least. So look out for part 2, because we got an unboxing, and then we got part 2, which we'll get Abby's review on it. Actually, I'm really impressed by these. They are one thing which I would say, they are a little bit heavy compared to Fat Sharks, because obviously even if they weighed the same weight, you're on a lever, so it's going to feel slightly heavy. And there is a 1202S pack in this unit somewhere, which I need to look to see if I can get it taken out. Anyway, one thing which I really do like about it is, and I think actually when we're doing the review, I'm going to have to put a note in there, is that I was being really, really quite critical on the screen. So let me go and put that up on there. Wait that a second. Or maybe I've got to press I pressed the wrong button. There you go. There you go. That's the screen. You can take the screen out on the front of it. I do like that. I've never had, and never seen the desire to have a separate screen, and there's dust all over it now. Again, you can tell the kids have had it already. And I don't think I'd ever fly just holding a unit like that. But it is a nice little module. I can see why somebody would want to do it. And I think I was maybe a little bit mean towards the screen when we did the unboxing. So I'm going to have to put an annotation in there, or maybe a voiceover saying, actually, the more I've used it is that the better. I think the screen is actually pretty damn good. I've had goggles before where they've been really like, you can see every single bloody great big cell. And that's not the case with that one. So far, really impressed. Yeah, happy days. We'll get a video out of those and a little review, and I'll get the daughters' feedback on what they think of it as well. So, yeah, curious. Yeah, there is a cheaper one, but I went for that one because it's got diversity in it, and it's got DVR recording as well, which I thought was really, really good. The one other thing which I've done an actual like cut-in for the video. The one thing which also swung me on this is that they are using the RX5808 receivers in here, which is exactly the same or very similar to the module which I'm using with the Fat Sharks in the side, and I'm super impressed with that. So that was the other clinching factor, using the RX5808 receivers, knowing that I use them in the Fat Sharks, and they're absolutely fantastic. So far, definitely thumbs up. Really glad that I've gone for those ones, and we'll find out what those are like over a period of time. And again, the daughter's feedback has been very positive so far, because she has been using the EV100s up until now. However, the screen is just too small for her. It's great for her just like flying around, but if she just can't read the instruments off the screen, which would, again, it would be fine if we weren't using flight controllers, but Dad's using flight controllers to help her learn to fly FPV. So yeah, we needed something upgraded, and so far, thumbs up from myself and the midgets as well. Right. Yes, they do fit on her head. Not an issue at all. She wasn't even that bothered about the weight, and actually she came back with the most constructive bit of feedback, which was that, Dad, I'm going to be sat down anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit heavy. So there you go. She brutal honesty of a child. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So that's the FPV goggles. Right, 3 more topics for us to cover, and then we will be wrapping up. And I'll keep these quite quick. The first one is, finally, the kits are back in stock for the Bonsai on HobbyKing. So as many of you may or may not know, the HobbyKing released a Bonsai 2 wing, and really it should be a Bonsai -1 wing, or a Bonsai 0 wing, because in my humble opinion, they actually made it worse rather than better. V2s should be better, should they not be? Unfortunately, my experience was that it's definitely not a step forwards. And anyway, the bright news is that one of my biggest grumbles was back at the time is that you could only buy a kit for like 50 odd quid, and you had to have the components which were provided. And as many of you know, I normally prefer kits rather than plug and play versions. Anyway, you can now get the kits. The kits that come out for $40, which is about 28 quid, I think. I saw my account. So that's happy days. That's definitely happy days, although they've come out more expensive than what they were before. So I would guess that we might see a sell on these in the next month or two after they've been embedded in a little bit. So yeah, thank goodness you can now get the kits out there. So those of you which were looking for a Bonsai wing, you can now get them. Although they have kindly cut the holes out on the wings, so you're almost forced into having your servos where they suggest, which is, that, as we found out, is not the best place at all, because it's too far behind the centre of gravity. And if you want to hear my moans and gripes about the Bonsai 2 and why I feel it's a step backwards, have a look on the YouTube channel, because I was not impressed by the new layout or the components which were included in it, except for the motor, which was actually very good. Anyway, moving on, F7 boards. So some of you may have seen on Instagram the photo from yesterday about this little flight stack which I've got here, which is a Matek. Now I need to get this right, so let's. I got it from DroneBit. So it's the Matek F722 OSD board. Now there were a collection of questions and comments which came in the Facebook group, like, Matt, why have you gone for an F7 board? Will you be buying this F4 board and things like that? And the answer is, I've gone for an F7 board because I'm a little bit frustrated on the lack of resolution on F4 boards. Okay, now what is this? Why have I got a gripe with an F4 board? Now the thing is that I have until today pretty much exclusively used F4 boards. They're faster than F3 boards, but the thing is that when you're flying, it might be because I'm more experienced. I think that's, or I've had more time on models, but I do notice the lack of granularity in the model's control, even with an F4 board, even with other stuff turned off, which I'm sure other people have turned on. Okay, and that bit was bugging me. And the thing is that I really like the free wing, which I'll go and get her a second. And I will get the maiden out on this one at some point because she went off peachy as you like. So that is the free wing. We've done an unboxing on this one. I've not done the maiden. I need to get the videos out. But I was running an F4 board in there. And then I did convert it to a vector. And then I needed to take the vector out to go in a different model. And I refused to buy a 4th equal tree vector. So I know, was it last week or the week before? It was basically me saying equal tree vectors are, for me, the fastest route to getting a model in the sky. But the thing is that it's still 200 quid. So I've gone for an F7 board with a PDB, which I actually think is very cool. Let me see if I can get those out so you can have a quick look. I actually think that's pretty cool. Okay, and by the way, this is not the finishing, it's just work in progress at the moment. So you've got the flight controller there, I've got the GPS hooked up, I've got 2 power lines which come out the back, one for the camera, one for the video transmitter, and underneath you've got the little flight controller board. And the really cool thing about that is that it's got this little ribbon cable which comes out, and you really can't see it. Can I get this out? And yeah, give me a moment, I'll get this out because it was the coolest thing which I've seen. And as you can tell, it's still work in progress. It's all soldered up. It all works and everything, and all the flight modes, etc., etc. are set. Same for the receiver. Just now needs to get installed. But the one thing which I think was really cool, let me put my hand there. Can you see that little ribbon cable which is bouncing around? Okay, that just slots in. So the slot on the bottom of the PDB, just down there, and you just clip it in, and then you get, there's no mucking around with wires and stuff. You just put it in, push the grey clips either side, and jobs are good. And so I'm really impressed with that. And again, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to go and buy another vector. Like I said, I've already got 3 of them. I don't want to go and buy a 4th one. And I also really like the free wing, and I want to go and get it out. So the free wing's a bit awkward because originally I set it up for iNav, and that's what we had in there, and it was flying okay. And then I decided I really liked it and I wanted to put a vector in it, so I put a vector in it and got it all working. And then I took it all back out again because I needed to put the vector in a different model. So I was left with a model which I really like and couldn't have the bits which I wanted, the bits which you would get with a flight controller. So really annoying. And remember, in that one, you can I've got a 4S Lion pack, 3,500 milliamp fit Lion pack, which is set in the top. So yeah, very, very curious. Indeed. Right, that's the F7 boards. Really quite impressed so far. I tell you, one oddity is that I know, you know, when you get your flight controller and you've plugged it into the computer and then you go, oh, is it working? And when you've got the configurator open, I tell you what, that thing has got the smoothest. I don't know if it was I thought it was just like a placebo effect. That it's the gyro in it must have been super, super smooth because it's the smoothest which I've seen. Normally they were just a little bit steppy. I thought it was a placebo effect, but then someone else said that they had spotted it as well with their board. So yeah, it's noticeably different. And again, I've gone for the F7 board because instead of running it, what was it, 168 megahertz or 172, I forget now what the clock speeds are. But I know the F7s run at 216 megahertz, which is a considerable jump up. And again, that Matek board itself, and I'm just here looking at the details here in the background, is that, yeah, 216 megahertz, so it is a jump up. It's got the gyros, blah, blah, blah. Is that it does have, what was it, 6 UARTs, something like that on there, which is absolutely fantastic. When we first had the F7 boards come out, they were coming out, but they only had 2 UARTs on them, which was completely pointless. So yeah, VCP and 5 UARTs, which is more than what you would ever need. So I'm glad Matek have done a good job. And one little note there is that I've also got that PDB, and you'll see that little plug connector just there where my mouse is, and that ribbon cable then comes up and just attaches to the bottom of the board. So you do get your current, you do get your voltage, blah, 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 straight off the board. I thought it was very, very cool. And the last topic is actually, ironically, back to HobbyKing. Those of you which are in the UK, the blue Durafly EF Extra is on sale for, I think it says $131 there. It's actually £99, give or take a few pennies. So those of you which are looking for an EF Extra, the blue ones are still on sale over in the HobbyKing UK warehouse. They've got the green ones, but they're not on the same value, so which is a bit odd because technically it's the same model, just a different colour. Work that one out. And I know Steve been and bought one this week at some point, and it's been out and flown it. I saw him flying up on the moors. Looks absolutely fantastic. So, and I'll give you an early heads up. The EF Extra will be in one of the Model Mondays because I've had mine for, I'll say, a year loosely. And it is one of those models which is that if I did smash up, I would definitely go and buy a new one. Right. So a quick look on there. If I didn't use a tracker, I would use iNav for everything, but the Vector is the best method of sending GPS data legally. Didn't know about that, Bradley. Anyway, it is time for me to wrap up. Let me just quickly whip through today's topics, what we've been discussed. Model Mondays. If you've not seen Model Monday yet, that was out, ironically, on Monday, Sherlock. Episodes 2 and 3 have already been uploaded. If you would like to see them, the links to those are in the video description underneath this video, or go and check the Facebook group. Again, there's a link to the Raglan That's Off Facebook group down in the video description. An episode, or part 4, will be out on that one shortly, so we are now 3 weeks in advance for that. We spoke about the iPhone effect and the Crossfire update. Still, I'm holding my ground. I'm saying it's really, really good. I'm genuinely impressed with it so far. The only constructive criticism which I have is that soldering up BST leads when all the wires are black is a royal pain in the rear. And there will be a video out of that one shortly. We also saw, and again, if you haven't seen this yet, do go and take a watch of this video. I found it, the reason why I did it is because I wanted to know, and it turns out quite a few other people wanted to know, and you'll be shocked how much current only a couple of servos take. Really surprised on that. If you've not seen that episode yet, go and watch it or stick it in your watch later pile on YouTube. It's definitely worth a watch, and we will be doing part 2 of that one because I was surprised how much current only a small number of servos could demand from a back, and of course that does have implications when we're flying models in the sky. So yeah, if you've not seen that episode yet, do go and take a watch of that one. We will categorically be doing a part 2. Like I said, there's a few technical bits which you'll need to brush up upon, so I can then put it in non-nerd speak for you. So do look out for that. I was very surprised on that one. We also had several birds and turds. We got, is it a bird or is it turd? I don't know. We might just sprinkle ketchup on it and be done with it. I just genuinely don't know on those. We have those 2 models on the way to us as well, which are on pre-order. We got the Blade Theory clone, if that's once for a better word. To be honest, it's not a clone because it's come out of exactly, by the looks of it, it's come out exactly the same bloody mold. So we've seen this before where one company will bring out one model and then exactly the same model with different stickers on it comes out from a different company, but keep in the back of your mind it was probably exactly the same mold which they used, or molds, during the build process which they use. So they renting out molds to other companies or rebranding is very, very common within this industry. So clones is not the best word for that. It's just someone's rented out their molds to someone else by the looks of it. So yeah, we had that one. We've also got that, what was it, Skyhawk as well, that twin motor thing as well. That one's on back order. I'm sure it'll turn up here sooner or later. We spoke about the FPV goggles for the girls. Look out for an unboxing and edit video to be edited up today. That will be out later this afternoon or later this morning in the Facebook group. Bonsai Kits are back. The F7 board. I am going into a bit of an adventure with an F7 board. I want to see if F7 boards are the answer for my pet's annoyance with iNav. Well, my other setup time is main annoyance, but let's put that to one side for a moment. Are they smoother in the sky? I personally hope that they are smoother in the sky as far as it comes to flight control. And again, I will also be using the latest version of iNav, which is, was it version 2.0 RC2? I think it's the latest version right now. I think there was one known bug in that one. So yeah, we'll be very, very curious because I just don't know. So we'll get this one sorted out. Like I said, I really like the free wing. Again, I need to get the maiden and that video out at some point. I need to dig it out from the video files and we'll get that one out because it does fly really well. It's just been held up because I did convert it to having a vector in it and then the vector came out. So I'm behind on that one. Right, Bradley says AR wing, RMC recruit. Yes, you've got the Sky Hunter as another example, and the HD wing, which was the I've forgotten the other names of it. It was a Sky Ray on HobbyKing and something Yak or something on Ready Made RC. That's a very good example. Thank you, Bradley, for that one. Right, it is time for me to go. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch today's episode of this week's RC Coffee Chat. If you're new here, I'm Matt. Welcome aboard. Don't forget to press the thumbs up icon underneath this video. Also, if you are new here, don't forget to press the red subscribe button. And because YouTube is covered in ketchup, don't forget to press the bell icon so that you actually get notified when the next video is out. It could be any of those episodes which I've spoke about, which are coming at the moment. So hit the bell icon. And I know I'm off. I got a ton of work to get done. If you're out flying, Mako Wing, thank you, Lauren. I've just seen Lauren's comment on the right-hand side. If you have any questions, comments, or views on anything which we've been covered in today's RC Coffee Chat, don't forget you can share those in the comments section either underneath this video on YouTube or nip across to the Facebook group. There's a link to the Facebook's Rag the Nuts Off Facebook's group. It's in the video description, and then just hit the join button on the right hand side. And it really is time for me to go. So on that note, from myself, Matt. Cheerios.